What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We are going to be reacting to a Bleacher Report article that was created on May 25th by Greg Schwartz. It's the best trade every NBA team can actually make in this offseason. Shout out to Billy Penos for requesting this on Twitter and just kind of sending it to me. And I will leave a link to the article in the description below. So we have 30 trades to discuss. I'm going to say if I think they're realistic or if they make sense for either team. And yeah, we can get right into this. So the first team we are going to have is the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to go alphabetical order throughout the cities. And they have them acquiring Malcolm Brogdon for Cam Reddish, Kevin Huerter, and Chris Dunn. Okay, I actually kind of love Malcolm Brogdon on the Hawks to pair up with Trae Young to help him out defensively. And I think he's a good enough shooter where he could play off Trae Young. It's just, I mean, the Pacers are going to be, quote-unquote, I think, rebuilding a little bit in this offseason. And would they like Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter's packages? I mean, I think Brogdon's in, the last year of his deal going into next year. So he's an expiring contract. Therefore, I guess his value isn't too immenseful. Maybe they, instead of Chris Dunn, they throw in their first round pick this year. But I actually don't mind the idea of Atlanta going out there and trying to acquire Malcolm Brogdon, because they got to compete if they want to maybe advance in the playoffs. Like, they might advance this year and beat the Knicks, but then if they want to get any better or closer to Milwaukee, Philly, and Brooklyn, they got to acquire these all-star type players. Brogdon was never an all-star for Indiana, but he's a damn good player. Boston, they got to pick up a big Jonas Valanciunas for Aaron Nesmith, Tristan Thompson, and a 2021 first-round pick. So that first-round pick would be like around 18-19. I mean, Nesmith, he definitely showed some flashes this year. I doubt Memphis really cares about Tristan Thompson. I honestly don't think Memphis does this trade, because Memphis is in a spot where they're still like trying to make the playoffs each year. Valanciunas has been very good for them. Unless they don't want to pay and re-sign Valanciunas, then I get this. But who are they going to end up better in free agency or the trade market? I don't really know, because Valanciunas is very important to this team. So just like that package, I don't know if Memphis is willing to give up one of their best players, or probably their second best player for that package. Brooklyn, they get Miles Turner for Joe Harris and Nick Claxton. I just don't see any way why the Indiana Pacers would want Harris and Claxton for Turner. I don't really think Turner's, I don't even think Claxton's ceiling is where Turner is at right now. Maybe it can be, but I just don't agree with it. Like, Joe Harris really won't make the Pacers that much better, and yeah, I think this is very unrealistic. I think a Nets trade could involve like a sign-and trade with Dinwiddie, if we're more being realistic there, but not for somebody as good as Miles Turner. Charlotte, ooh, Pascal Siakam, PJ Washington, Vernon Carey, and a first-round pick this year, top 5 protected. Toronto would not say yes to this at all, just because Siakam has been their best player. I wouldn't say he's been their most important player. That's probably been Lowry. But their best player for the last 2 years, excuse me. Definitely last year. This year, I guess you could make an argument for Van VanVleet. Siakam did have an up-and-down season. I don't think I would part ways with Siakam for that package. Personally, if I'm Charlotte, yeah, I would love this trade for them, because now you got LaMelo, Rozier, Hayward, and Pascal Siakam. That can get you places, but I don't think Toronto would accept that trade. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls, a sign and trade picking up Lonzo Ball and Derek Bledsoe, and the Pelicans receiving Lauri Markkanen, Thad Young, in a 2024 second. So Thad Young is a very important piece to Chicago, so I don't know if they'd be willing to do that, because then there goes all their power forwards. Lonzo is a player I think they would want to pair up with Levine, and getting Bledsoe as a veteran point guard like Satoransky, they're probably not going to bring back, and he can kind of mentor Kobe White. You don't need to play him that much, and you're only getting, what, 2 more years of his contract, I believe. As I was about to get the hiccups there. But, yeah, I actually think this could be a sign and trade that could be possible. A Lonzo for Markkanen, and then maybe, since, Lonzo's definitely a little bit more valuable, they could be like, yeah, take the Bledsoe contract, and boom, there we go. And we'll give you a second. I don't think Thad Young needs to be involved in this trade, nor would I think Chicago want to include Thad Young. I think they would want to roll a lineup out there of Lonzo, Levine, Pat Will, Thad Young, and then Vucevic. That would probably be their 1 through 5. So unless they want to move Pat Will to the 4, they can play Levine at the 3 sometimes, and then roll some Kobe White and Lonzo lineups out there as well. Cleveland Cavaliers picking up Davis Bertans and Thomas Bryant. Wizards getting Kevin Love, Dylan Windler, 2022 second, 2022 second, and a 2022 third. Oh, man. The Wizards, I think it would be really dumb to go out and get Kevin Love. I think Kevin Love does have 1 year less on his contract than Bertans, because Bertans just signed, what, a 4-year deal. This was the first year of a 4-year deal. Love, I believe, has 2 more years after this year. So I guess you're saving money there in the long term. Now, I don't think Kevin Love's really that much better than Davis Bertans at the moment of his career, but you are picking up Dylan Windler, which is nice. And I guess the Wizards at least, or excuse me, the Cavs at least get a young player in Hutchinson. Thomas Bryant, not a bad center they could put behind Jared Allen. And Bertans at least making a little bit less money and maybe would want to be there in Cleveland. So I think Cleveland would accept this trade. Washington, you'd have to think about it because you would save a little bit of money in the long term. You're getting a young player in Dylan Windler and you're picking up a couple second-round picks. Maybe they'd want to do this without Thomas Bryant involved, and they would do just a straight-up swap Love for Bertans. And, well, I guess Bryant will have to make the money work. Okay, it's not a bad idea. It's not a terrible idea just because Love is making 2 years less than Bertans, and I'm sure Washington, I don't think they're regretting the Bertans contract, but they wouldn't mind getting off it 2 years earlier. Yeah, so Love has 2 years left. Does it say what Bertans has? Yeah, 4 years, 65, so he's got 1 year left on it. Or, excuse me, 3 years left. Dallas Mavericks picking up Buddy Hield for Josh Richardson and Dwight Powell. Well, Josh Richardson is a free agent. He doesn't have a player option, so therefore... yeah, he would have to pick up his $11.6 million player option, which I don't know if he will. I think he would want a long-term deal. If he can get like 4 for 40, I would take that because one of next year is just an abysmal disaster, and he's just getting 1 year deals. I think he would probably opt out and try to lock up. And like a weak free agency class too. 2021's a lot better. I think he'll opt out and try to get a long-term deal. But I mean, like Richardson does help out their defensive problems, and Buddy Hield I think would be fantastic for the Dallas Mavericks. I just don't know if that is the package Sacramento wants in return for Buddy Hield, the main player they got in the DeMarcus Cousins trade back in 2017, or 2018, or 2017, 16/17. Denver Nuggets, let's see what they got to offer here. Yeah, Kyle Lowry, I tweeted this out the other day, or yesterday. Well, actually, I don't know when you guys are seeing this, but I was like, I need to see Kyle Lowry on the Heat, the Knicks, or the Nuggets, so I would not mind this at all. For Will Barton, Monte Morris, and a 2024 second. We're watching the Nuggets who could guard Damian Lillard. Now, I'm not saying Kyle Lowry's this amazing defender that he once was, but he's still a damn good defender. And getting his veteran leadership out there with Jamal Murray and Jokic and Michael Porter Jr., that team, and Aaron Gordon, that team can go places. I think the Nuggets will have to realize they're still another piece away from getting to that maybe Western Conference Finals, or getting that 1 seed, or getting to the NBA Finals. And maybe they would love like a Chris Paul on their team, but that's just not going to happen. So let's get maybe the next best option, Kyle Lowry. So I think that would be just a fantastic pickup for the Denver Nuggets. While Kyle Lowry has maybe 1 or 2 years of being like a very solid player. Not like an elite player, not like a really good player, but a good player. Detroit trading for Malik Beasley. Minnesota takes Sekou Doumbouya, Josh Jackson, Rodney McGruder, and 2 seconds. I mean, yeah, hell yeah, I would do that if I were Detroit, but why would Minnesota want to do this? Minnesota might not even get their first round pick in this draft. They're going to still try to make the playoffs next year with Karl-Anthony Towns, and they're getting substantially worse with this trade. Yeah, this is a terrible trade for Minnesota in my opinion, because Malik Beasley, you can argue, was their second most consistent player behind Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, you could say he's just on the floor more and was consistently better than Anthony Edwards last year. Malik Beasley was pretty good, so I disagree with this trade a lot. Yeah, like, what? I don't know why Minnesota would trade this away. And he's on a really good contract. Golden State, Miles Turner, Pacers receive Wiseman and Mooney. Okay, this one got me thinking, or has me thinking a little bit, because the Warriors were significantly better with James Wiseman not in the lineup. So once he got hurt, their defense got better. And maybe he had somebody that's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. You could say he's the second best in the NBA behind Rudy Gobert. Depends where you have like AD and Joel Embiid. But, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But wow, I think I like this trade a lot for both teams, because the Pacers, they're getting a young center who is just a top 3 pick, and they're kind of resetting a little bit. And then if they make that Brogdon trade as well, and you're kind of committing to a young core around LeVert and still having Sabonis on the team, because TJ Warren might leave in free agency. Warren's a free agent this year, correct? Or is he next year? I think it's this year. But, I kind of like this trade for both teams. I really do. I like it a lot for the Warriors, and I like it for the Pacers. I kind of like this idea. I just, would Golden State give up on Wiseman that quickly? I don't think so. Next up we have, but like, say Wiseman doesn't come around for another 3 years, and then he's like a really good player. You had Clay, Draymond, and Steph's end of like their careers, so is it too little, too late for that? Houston taking a flyer on Jared Culver for Eric Gordon and a first. Whoa, that Portland first. Yeah, you wouldn't have to go up for first. I think like Minnesota, and you're getting Josh Okogie. Oh, okay, so you're getting the 3 young players there, and you're giving up that Portland pick, which will probably be like 19. I mean, not terrible. You get off the Gordon contract, and obviously you're rebuilding. I just think like you could do probably Gordon and a second or 2 straight up for like Culver and Hernan Gomez, because Minnesota's going to try to compete next year, and they could probably use the shooting from Eric Gordon. It's not like they're going to have much cap space anyway, because they're paying D'Lo a lot of money, they're paying Cat, and then the money they're paying like Edwards and Beasley, they just don't have enough money to go out and get somebody like an Eric Gordon in free agency on a multi-year contract. So I think that would be like a nice swap, Gordon for Culver, because the Rockets could just take a flyer on Culver, and they also get off the contract of Gordon, and Gordon's definitely a significantly better player than Culver at the moment. Next up, we got the Pacers. I mean, yeah, I guess, like, the Pacers finally get Gordon Hayward. The Hornets receive Miles Turner and Jeremy Lamb. I guess the Hornets could use a Miles Turner, put him at the 5, because he's a massive upgrade over Cody Zeller, and then they could play Miles Bridges at the 3, and then who knows, they could just draft somebody. Maybe they end up getting a Jalen Johnson. With what pick are they going to have? They're going to have 14? No, 13, 12. They might be around 12 or 11. Wait, no, because Warriors will get 14. I don't know if the Spurs or the Hornets will get 13. Or no, I'm guessing the Hornets will get 13. Spurs will get 12. I don't know. There might have been a tiebreaker stuff. So around there, like they're around 11 to 13. I guess Jalen Johnson could be there to replace maybe Gordon Hayward. Probably not. I do like this trade, but I kind of like the idea of Indiana going the James Wiseman route and rebuilding a little bit, not staying around that 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed with picking up Gordon Hayward. It doesn't really put them to the conference finals at all. LA Clippers, they get DeMar DeRozan signed and trade for Zubats and Luke Kennard. I mean, I like that for them. Is he really a big need for the Clippers? I mean, they're down 2-0 on the Mavericks right now. Could they use another scorer? Possibly. I don't think the Spurs would want Marcus Morris after what he did to them in the 2019 offseason. But, I mean, the Spurs could like Zubats. And Kennard, I don't know if they like the Kennard contract. And they already have a crowded backcourt with White, Murray. Keldon Johnson, I guess, could be more of a 3. Lonnie Walker, Trey Jones. They have a lot of guys in that backcourt. So I don't think that they would particularly want Luke Kennard. But it's an interesting idea having DeMar DeRozan end up on the Clippers. LA Lakers getting Jeremy Grant for Kyle Kuzma, a first-round pick this year, and 2 seconds. I don't see why Detroit would accept that. I don't think they should, and I don't think the Lakers could get Jeremy Grant for Kyle Kuzma. I still don't think he's that valuable of a piece. But yeah, I guess it would be cool to see Kuzma back in Detroit or Michigan if he would want to be there. Next up, Memphis going all in on Bradley Beal, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, Winslow, and a first-round pick. As much as I would love to see Bradley Beal in Memphis with John Morant, I don't think Washington would accept that trade. I think they need a blue-chip player in return or a blue-chip pick, kind of like how the Pelicans got for Anthony Davis. I guess Bradley Beal will technically be an expiring free agent or expiring contract after this year, but still, I think they would want something like for sure, and I don't know if that's like any of that is what they would want in return, because it's kind of similar to what maybe the Rockets got for Chris Paul, but the Wizards are in, I guess, a worse position than the Rockets were. Or, excuse me, the Clippers were. I don't know. But, yeah, I think they would want somebody like a Michael Porter Jr. or even like a Tower Hero, I think they prefer. Actually, after this year, I don't know. But maybe like an RJ Barrett. They would want somebody like that in return for Bradley Beal. Will they get that? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I would love to see Memphis go out and get Bradley Beal, but they'd probably have to include the Utah pick and another first. I think they would have to give up like multiple first-round picks. The Miami Heat get Zach LaVine, Bulls get Tyler Hero and Goran Dragic. Yeah, I don't think Chicago would accept this trade after the year Tyler Hero had. Goran Dragic is basically just a salary filler, so I don't really think this trade would really make sense. The Bulls went all in by trading for Vucevic, but yeah, I guess, yeah, LaVine could still leave, but he's in a big market. They're going to pay him a lot of money. I don't think they would leave, or he would leave them at all. So, yeah, I disagree with this trade. And, like, LaVine was out for, what, a couple weeks down the stretch. Like, the Bulls could definitely make the playoffs next year. So, yeah, I don't think Chicago would accept this trade. Milwaukee picking up Derek White and Jakob Poeltl for DiVincenzo, Lopez, in 2 seconds. I think they get a little bit worse with this trade. I do think Derek White is better than DiVincenzo, but I like DiVincenzo long term. And I do think, like, Poeltl's an underrated center, but I don't see really Milwaukee giving up all their draft capital that they basically have because they have, like, no first-round picks. Connaughton, I just don't see Milwaukee doing that trade. Minnesota, they're getting Jeremy Grant for Malik Beasley. Why did they want Detroit to get a Malik Beasley so badly? I mean, you do get that power forward next to Cat, which they could use. So that's something to think about. I just don't really see them wanting to give up Malik Beasley. I think they would maybe give up, like, a future first, Culver, Cody G, and try to do something like that. Or maybe even offer D'Lo rather than giving up Malik Beasley, because I like Malik Beasley a lot for this team. Pelicans, I like them going after Miles Turner. I've seen this a couple times on the internet, and I like this a lot. So the Pelicans are getting Turner and Lamb. Pacers get Hayes, Bledsoe, a first-round pick, top 7 protected, another first. Okay. See, like, That's a lot. I guess 3 first-round picks. Or no, that's 2 first-round picks, technically. I guess that's not terrible, because Eric Bledsoe, they'd just be happy to get off that contract. Hayes, they get a young center. Actually, this isn't a bad trade. I think the Pelicans should do this. I'd like this a lot for the Pelicans. The Knicks, they get Lonzo Ball on a sign-and trade, and Jackson Hayes. Pelicans get Mitchell Robinson. To be honest, if the Knicks are going to sign Lonzo Ball, I don't mind this trade. Mitchell Robinson, I'm starting to lose a little faith in him as the Knicks, like, franchise center, and if it gets the Knicks Lonzo Ball, and even Jackson Hayes, I'd be a little bit happy with that, even though I don't think Hayes is the great player. OKC, they get Jakob Poeltl, a nice young player. Spurs get Horford and a first-round pick from the Clippers. I guess, yeah, if they didn't want to pay Jakob Poeltl, they can get a first for him. I think they would have to be willing to accept that, but they would have to take on the Al Horford contract, but I feel like Pop would just love Al Horford. Next up, the Orlando Magic. They're getting Nasir Little and Derrick Jones. Portland's getting Terrence Ross in a second. I think Portland getting Terrence Ross would be a massive pickup for them, but wasn't Derrick Jones on a 1-year deal? Or no, he was on a 2-year deal, I think. But yeah, I guess like they get a little bit younger with Little and Jones, who's still fairly young, and Portland gets a good bench score, and even a 2nd-round pick out of that. I don't think Memphis or Orlando would have to give that up. Philly, they get Kyle Lowry to sign a trade. Raptors get Maxey, Milton, and George. I thought that the Sixers should have went after Lowry at the trade deadline. Apparently, the Raptors wanted too much. I don't think with, like, what Maxey has shown in the games that he's been, like, the number 1 or number 2 option, I don't think, like, the Sixers are, like, willing to give up on him. I think they think he could be, like, a next, like, not franchise, like, guy, but, like, somebody that could just create their own shot and be so valuable to this team when Ben Simmons, like, their starting point guard, can't do that. So he would be very valuable, and he's only 20 years old. And keeping Milton and George, well, I guess it really depends on how far the Sixers go with this core. Suns get Bertans for Sarge and Carter. Would not mind them getting a little bit more shooting, and then the Wizards would just clear up some money long term. That's a minor trade, but I like it for the Suns. Don't mind it for the Wizards. For the Trailblazers, they get DJ Augustine and Daniel House for Derrick Jones. They get some shooting. Yeah, I guess they could use that, and they should try to use Derrick Jones as a trade asset this offseason. Sacramento, this one's interesting. A battle or a trade of 2 top 6 picks from the, or Bamba was what? Was Bamba 5? No, Bamba was 6. Sexton was 7. Yeah, so top 6 picks from the 2018 draft. I don't mind this trade for either team, honestly. I really don't. I don't think it would happen because I don't think either team wants to. I mean, like, I don't think the Kings want to give up on Bagley, but maybe the Magic will give up on Bamba now that they have Carter Jr. from the 2018 class, but it's an interesting idea to think about. San Antonio, they would be getting Onyeka Okongwu and Gallo for Derek White and Poeltl. I don't think Atlanta would give up on Onyeka. Maybe they wouldn't mind getting off the Gallo contract, but I don't think they want to give up on Okongwu right away. Raptors get Claxton and Shamet. Nets get Boucher. I don't think the Raptors would want to do this. The Nets, especially make the Nets even this much better. Jazz, they get Damian Dotson and Dean Wade for 2 seconds. A very minor trade, but yeah, Damian Dotson, he's a good bench scorer. I think he's definitely worth giving up 2 seconds for. And then finally, the Washington Wizards get Christian Wood for Denny Avdija and Rui Hachimura. Whoa. I mean, like, I love this trade for Washington. I just don't think there's any way Houston does this trade with Christian Wood kind of being their franchise guy and their most, like, promising player at this moment. So, yeah, that is actually a really fun article to read. Shout out to Greg Schwartz, or no, who was it? Yeah, Greg Schwartz, who made it. I'll leave a link to it down below. Drop a like if you did enjoy the video. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.